The Story of Anne Frank by
Lucy,
Alana,
Abby, Emily, and Lyla.
Anne's background.
Otto Frank was Anne Frank's dad. Her mother was Edith Frank, and her sister was Margot Frank. Anne Frank was a German girl growing up during the duration of the Holocaust. She grew up to be an excellent writer and was gifted a diary by the name of Kitty on her 13th birthday. On February 1939, she moved to Amsterdam because Hitler and the Nazis were starting to invade Germany. The rest of her life was spent hiding in an Amsterdam warehouse from the horrors of Hitler and the Nazis until August 4th, 1944.
Anne Frank was a young Jewish girl from Germany who was forced to flee her home to escape Nazi persecution. She and her family were forced to relocate to the Netherlands, where she began to write in her diary. Against all odds, the writing of a teenage girl, the Diary of Anne Frank, would become the most important and powerful first-person account of living and hiding during the Holocaust, providing hope and inspiration to Jewish people and mankind everywhere.
We used a primary source, Anne Frank's diary, and secondary source websites. The thing that we used as evidence were different sites that had information about Anne Frank and any information leading towards her. We used different sites dedicated towards learning about Anne Frank and sites that had passages with good and rich information about her life, about her and her life. We watched videos about what else was going on her life and things that taught us about the struggles of being Jewish in the timeline so we could understand them more. We also viewed several photographs of her and her family to see what they looked like.
Rights and responsibilities thing. Your religion and ethnicity does not mean anything about your identity, and all religions and ethnicities should be respected no matter what it is. And everyone should be treated equally and not be discriminated against and disciplined just because of your beliefs. This is because, in the end, this will get you nowhere at all, causing all of this war and conflict just because you think that someone's religion and ethnicity tells you all about who they actually are. And let's say the Holocaust did wipe out all of the Jews. Then what would happen? It's not like the world would be so much better without the Jews anyway. No matter what, we're all human, and we deserve the respect that we need.
Determining what is right and wrong theme. The Nazis and Hitler wanted to destroy Jews because they did not agree and believe in their religion. This is wrong, though, because they did not need to destroy people's hometown and take away their rights. They also didn't need to take people away just to torture them. It is completely inhuman to do anything of the sort to people of any race or belief. People should be treated equally no matter what they believe in. It is not right to be involved with homicide based on only one's religion and culture.
Our first piece of evidence to prove our thesis is how most of the world population knew about Anne Frank's diary. In a video we watched based on Anne Frank, it says that upon reading the diary that Anne had written, Otto Frank discovered that writing had such a big meaning to her, and he wanted to share that with the world in the world. In the information, it says Anne's story about the life in hiding and the war is read all over the world. Her diary has been translated into more than 70 languages. The hiding place is now a museum and welcomes more than 1 million visits per year. This helps us tell us how the information she wrote down in her time in the annex is spread throughout many cultures. It shows confidence, and provides hope for other people in struggles because of how well Anne Frank dealt with the situation.
We also used Britannica website to learn more about her. And finally a video, Anne Frank's only existing film images, and another video that showed her house. It showed us how people looked up to her, how they used her as an inspiration, and how people won awards for making things about Anne Frank. These sources were used because they tell us about her legacy was carried on when she passed away, and how she was remembered as one of the most important first-person writers.
Our second piece of evidence states Anne is probably the best known of Holocaust victims. The diary was also made into a play that premiered on Broadway in October 1955, and in 1956 it won both the Tony Award for Best Play and the Pulitzer Prize for Best Drama. A film version directed by George Stephen was produced in 1959. It shows how many people looked up to her so much that they made movies about her and won prizes. We can also infer that people think that the movies are amazing examples of literature because they awarded the film with not one, but 2 prizes. This helped us prove our thesis because it says how people were inspired by her and how much power and bravery was shown in these films.
For this evidence, we used a secondary source, a website with information about her.
We also used a website called Anne Frank Center, and it's full of really useful information all about Anne Frank. We found another video about Anne Frank telling us what she did and why she was so important all around the world. And lastly, we found one more website about how her diary impacted so many people, and how her diary showed the sign of survival and independence to many young people in Jewish communities.
Another thing is, in the autumn of 1945, Otto Frank wrote to family members that he and his helpers were trying to find out who had betrayed them. They were convinced that they had been betrayed. It is understandable many people fell into the German hands during the occupation, and this was often because they had been betrayed. However, there is no concrete evidence that this was the case here. This is a sign of bravery because of how Anne Frank was able to deal with the fact that people basically just gave up on her, even though she did nothing wrong. Our thesis states that Anne Frank has a huge impact on people all over the world, and how her story was shared throughout this world. The evidence helps to understand this even more because of how people were influenced by her and how she shows aspiration to people. The Diary of Anne Frank stands as one of the most significant and powerful first-person accounts of life in hiding during the Holocaust, offering hope and inspiration to Jewish communities and humanity as a whole. We have demonstrated this in many ways, like finding articles and videos including information about her, and how people carried on her legacy once she died. Our thesis states Anne Frank's diary will impact society as it provides aspiration to the Jewish communities and people everywhere. For instance, when her father, Otto Frank, survived Auschwitz and published her diary, it became a symbol of resilience and a source of appreciation for numerous readers. Additionally, we used a PDF of Anne Frank's diary in Britannica to learn more about her, and learn that many people have used movies to cherish her lifespan and help people learn more about the difficulties of the Holocaust.
This topic was chosen due to it having a great impact on many people across the world, and shows how people can handle terrible situations, and how one person can impact a whole society and give them the hope they need. This diary was such an important piece of history, seen as it tells the first-person story of a young girl during the Holocaust, providing inspiration and power everywhere. Overall, we can learn many different things from this great historic source and build off of it. For instance, we can find lots of different people all over the world who read this book and use it for many things, such as fine arts, teaching, literature, and more.
This tells us about how the many Jewish people struggled to live a normal life under the influence of Hitler and the Nazi army, and how Anne Frank wished in the near future for a better life. The story teaches us more about determination, how a young girl had to hide in a small bunker for such a long time, how she was so scared of the Nazis finding her, and how she had to evade. Yet she powered through and was strong. She had many great dreams and was a fine writer. And to this day, millions of people look up to her.
In conclusion, Anne Frank and her family fled Nazi persecution during the Holocaust, hiding in Amsterdam for 2 years. Anne kept a diary, recording her activities and dreams. In 1944, they were sent to a concentration camp. Anne passed away in 1945, but her diary still remains a powerful symbol of human survival and honors of the Holocaust. Her legacy continues to impact people worldwide, showing her imagination and commitment